Why do I think a daily meditation practice is important for psychedelic use? To me, I think meditation is a fundamental pillar for being able to successfully access these states and be able to transition in and out of them in the most, I think to get the most out of it. For me, I have meditated for years. I started meditating maybe, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And then I went on a couple meditation retreats, Vipassana retreats, where there are 10 days of meditation. It's basically about like 9 days of meditating for about 10 and a half hours a day. And I'm just meditating on my body. And that was a really great thing to do. I did 2 of those. And that really helped me soberly move through a lot of feelings, sensations, energy, tension, mental blocks and limitations, and all kinds of things. And that was really powerful for me. And it's one of the best things I've ever done for myself, and has helped my life ever since then, especially when I have a daily meditation practice. When it comes to psychedelic use, I think it's really important to be able to be still during a psychedelic session. So when I take a substance, and I can sit or lay depending on what I want to experience, but let's say I take something and then I lay down. So I'll lay on my back with my legs symmetrical, just my feet just kind of straight out, my arms splayed out, and then I just lay there and just don't move, and just I'll just breathe and relax, and I'm just letting all the sensations in my body be there. So generally, a lot of times, especially say when I go to sleep, I'll lay down on my back, but then I'll turn over, or I'll feel like, oh yeah, I'm not comfortable here, I'm gonna move. But when I'm doing a session with psychedelics, I like to just lay there and not move at all. Like, just let myself relax and, drop into the bed, into the mat. But I don't want to, just move around or turn over or move my head very much. And sometimes it could feel actually kind of uncomfortable, because it's not that the position itself is uncomfortable. It's that it's requiring me to relax in ways that maybe there's parts of my body that don't normally relax, or they can't relax in that moment. And so I start to feel tension, and that tension the volume of that tension starts to go up. And that's generally what meditation is like for me. When I sit or lay, I start to feel the sensations that I'm normally not aware of, or I'm normally distracting myself from. And as those sensations come up, I can resist those feelings and be like, oh, I don't want to feel this, or there's tension in my leg, or there's other feelings in my belly or in my chest and my heart that are just uncomfortable, and or they're painful downright. And being able to sit still and feel uncomfortable sensations, I think, is super, super important, because a lot of times when we take something, it can bring up those sensations to the surface. And I think it's important to have a daily practice already where I sit and feel my feelings and feel the sensations in my body without resisting them. And resistance itself, it could be a sensation that I could just allow to be there. So not resisting resistance itself, but just sitting there and feeling like, oh yeah, I feel tense, I feel anxious, I feel uncomfortable, I feel tired, and sitting there anyway. And oh, I can feel how I don't want to feel this, and I'm pushing it away. And then if that doesn't relax, then it's like, okay, yeah, that's part of what is, and being able to sit with that, like, oh, I see how I don't like this, and there's thoughts, I don't like this, there's these uncomfortable feelings, and then there's the uncomfortable feeling of resisting those uncomfortable feelings. And so sometimes sitting still can be this uncomfortable mess. Like, it could be excruciating at times. And what I think is cool about having a meditation practice is that it's a practice in feeling uncomfortable, getting comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, and being aware of what the mind does when it feels discomfort, and the knee-jerk reactions of wanting to move, wanting to change positions, because that position, when I sit in it long enough or lay in it long enough, it starts to bring up feelings or tension or whatever in my system that is uncomfortable. And when I'm uncomfortable like that, or I'm tense and resisting, my thoughts will naturally resonate with that. So I'll think of negative things, I'll think of things I don't like, I'll imagine scenarios that they may or may not have even happened, but I'm imagining them, and it kind of, to me, it's a way of distracting myself from the actual feeling itself. So there's this uncomfortable feeling, my system is feeling tense and uncomfortable, and so the thoughts that resonate with that are tense and uncomfortable. And it's almost easier to just think and fixate on those thoughts, or fixate on blaming the situation that I'm imagining, or blaming other people, instead of just being alone with the feelings themselves. So I try to become aware of that too. Just, I'm feeling uncomfortable and now I'm thinking these thoughts. A lot of times if I notice that I'm thinking uncomfortable or painful or just negative thoughts, I recognize, oh, okay, I must be feeling uncomfortable somewhere. Even if I may not in that moment feel where it's coming from, sometimes it could be difficult to feel, well, where is this sensation? Like, there's just this sense that something feels off or something feels wrong, and there's not a particular place, like a obvious or acute sensation itself in the body that's like, oh, yep, this is where the pain is. I feel it back here or in my chest or whatever. Sometimes it's hard to locate it, and sometimes it's multiple sensations throughout the body. Sometimes it's a feeling of numbness. Sometimes it's a feeling of just feeling fatigued and tired. And so there's not a particular place that it's being felt. It could be combinations of different kinds of sensations that create different types of thoughts and states. So having a practice where one can soberly do that and be with all the different types of sensations and feelings and states that those combinations create, and being okay with it, sitting with it and recognizing it doesn't, ultimately the universe isn't judging this the way that my ego is. The universe is just open to whatever. It's just pleasure, pain, it doesn't matter. It's just the content of reality, but reality itself isn't affected by the content. And so as much as in that experience I'm resisting and hating and thinking of blah, 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 the universe itself isn't. The universe is just holding all that. It's just holding all these thoughts and all these feelings. No matter how painful or how blissful they are, the universe is almost, what's the word? It doesn't care, because it's not it. It's just what is, and what is can be anything. So being able to be with what is, no matter how awful it might feel, or even how blissful it might feel, being able to just be with what is without getting lost in it or identifying with it, or identifying with the resistance or the supposed thing that's resisting. Being with it all is a great practice, because when I do take a psychedelic and all that stuff can become amplified, or I get into really strange states, instead of getting overwhelmed by these new states or these non-ordinary states, instead of getting overwhelmed by them or being so in awe of them that I kind of start to check out or maybe just go unconscious and I can't actually be with the experience. Sometimes it brings up extremely painful things that are hard to look at, and my ego might want to just try to put the attention somewhere else, or try to just move around to distract myself, or think other thoughts to distract myself. Maybe there's things about my behavior that need to be looked at, and they're coming up, and instead I somehow blame someone else. And ultimately, a lot of times it's because the sensations in my body have become so uncomfortable, or I resist them, or I just have a habit of doing and thinking certain things when I feel certain things, that it kind of just goes on autopilot. And then I'm not getting as much out of it as I could. And I just can see, oh, this is where I start to fall asleep, or this is where I go unconscious. This is where I start to resist automatically. This is where I start to blame other people, because maybe looking at myself is just too painful. So yeah, it can go all sorts of ways, but having a practice where I can be with what is and be with all the sensations that come with it, it's like a muscle. And the more I can just be with what is, the more sensation I can handle, the more the myriad of different thoughts, whether they seem positive or negative, the more of those that I can just be with, then I'll have a stronger foundation and a stronger muscle of awareness and compassion to be with what is. And I notice that the stronger that muscle is, the more states and sensations that I can just be with and not somehow shut down, or start to block out, or go into some other kind of habit or pattern. Then the more I can let into the experience, and then the more I can experience even bigger states. Sometimes I almost think for me, it's almost like a test. Like sometimes I experience something that's very uncomfortable, and I recognize, oh, I see, this can be an opportunity for me to be with these feelings and be with these thoughts and just let them be, and not resist them, because in the resistance, I can just generate another bad habit or another negative pattern, instead of just being with it, recognizing it, acknowledging what it is and what it's communicating. When I can do that and be with that, then it allows, sometimes it feels like a test where I pass the test of being with what is without doing my regular habit or negative pattern with it, and then it sometimes breaks into this new level of awareness, like it bootstraps into this, oh, I almost pan back and see something even bigger. I see something new about myself, or I can finally relax that part of me that's been resisting this, like it shouldn't be this way, I shouldn't feel this, or the scenarios I'm imagining shouldn't be, and I can't let them happen no matter what. It's not saying like, oh yeah, just let them happen, but it's the resistance to those things happening. Sometimes when that part finally can relax, then it just opens up into a place that I feel more expanded, I feel more free, I feel like I can actually handle more, and not being so afraid of certain sensations or certain states or experiences. It allows me I don't have to fixate on them as much. And if I don't fixate on them, then they don't have as much power over me. If I'm not like, oh, just make sure that doesn't happen, or make sure I don't feel this, if I'm always doing that, then I'm controlled by it still. So there's levels of freedom that I can access and integrate into my nervous system and into my thinking and into just my daily life. So yeah, that's just one little tangent about why I think a meditation practice is important, and super useful when working with psychedelics, especially working with them regularly, because a lot of the things that I've learned from being able to sit still with what is allows me to sit still with what is in these other states. And it brings a lot of growth and a lot of joy and awe, being able to to evolve and access new states and dissolve patterns and parts of me that they don't serve me. And then I just feel lighter. I feel a little more free and a little happier. And it's just part of for me, it's my personal, these are the things that I come up against, and these are the things that I sit with and I work through. And generally it just makes my life better. So that's why I think it's great. Yeah, I think that's all I want to share. Thanks for listening. There's more info about me and some links and what I do and the things I build down below. It's fun making these videos, and I want to keep doing it. So if you want to learn more about me, just look in the description and look through my other stuff, and there's links to all sorts of things that I do and have. Thanks. Hope you have a good day.